Hi, everyone, and welcome to Amplify, highlighting the good across Polk County schools, amplifying the voices, stories, and people that make our district shine. I'm your host, Tanya Ramirez from Teacher Engagement. Today, we're speaking with Miss Erin Eady from Pinewood Elementary. Welcome. Can you please share your current position, school, and your experience?
Hello, my name is Erin Eady. I am an ESC inclusion teacher at Pinewood Elementary. I went to Florida Southern College and got my bachelor's and my master's degree in education.
Awesome. For our listeners, Erin, before we dive into today's story, can you share your role as a VE teacher and what does that look like at Pinewood Elementary? What
So
is
that's
what is a VE teacher?
a VE teacher, or an inclusion teacher as we call it, is a teacher that goes into the classroom and pushes in. We don't pull out or take the students out of the learning environment. We go in and help the students with disabilities that are in the general education classroom. And then if there are any struggling students that we have, we pull them together with the ESC students. So it is a true inclusion model of having both the lower level kids of the general education kids and also the ESC kids, so that they don't feel singled out, because then they're not like, oh, well, why did we work with Mrs. Eady, but the other kids don't? And then they start to feel, different. So we pull in other kids too, and they all work together, and it's a lot of fun.
Good. um, and for listeners who may not be familiar with VE classrooms, and I know you said you go into them, what does a typical day look like for you and your students?
So I have a printed schedule. I'm crazy about like schedules and printing things and I have a timer that's set on my phone. So I have all the times and the kids listed on my schedule. So I have a timer on my phone. It goes off. I go into a classroom. I pull my students, some gen ed students. Sometimes we do small groups. So we'll go to a kidney table in the back of the room. We'll work a small group. Sometimes I just circulate. If I have a lot of kids, in some classes, I'll have 1 or 2 kids to work with. In some classes, I'll have up to 7. So it just depends on how many kids I have, what the classroom teacher is doing that day. Sometimes I'll bring my own materials. Sometimes I'll work alongside with the teacher's materials. So I can either circulate or work in a small group. And then when my timer goes off, I go to another classroom, same thing. Timer goes off, another classroom, same thing. And just it depends by the year what grade level. The first year I worked, I did K and 5. Then this year I did K1 and 2, and then I'm not exactly sure yet what I'll be doing next year, but we'll see.
Awesome. And when you were nominated, it was said that one of your students made incredible progress this year. Um, can you tell us about the first time that you met the student and what their needs were at the time?
Yes, I met her. She was a kindergartner, and she was completely nonverbal. She was very overstimulated by loud noises. Like if somebody, because the way the pods are attached in the classrooms, there's a bathroom attached. And the loud noise of the toilet flushing, she would have a meltdown or a tantrum if she heard the toilet flush. So she couldn't express her needs at all because she was nonverbal. So she could only melt down because she didn't have the words to explain what was happening, or that she was overstimulated, or that she needed a break, because there was a calm corner in the room, there were fidgets in the room, there were things that we could have used for her, but she couldn't tell us what was going on. So it took the classroom teacher pulling me aside to say, hey, I need help with this student. She can't speak. She's melting down. She has a diagnosis of autism. How can we help her? What do you think? I can't get through to her. Do you think maybe you can get through to her? So at that point, I kind of took her under my wing and made her my project. And from then on, that's where the growth started.
Awesome. So when you realized that she was nonverbal and got easily overstimulated, how did you begin that process of being able to support her?
So the first thing I did is they do a lot of carpet time in kindergarten. So I would sit next to her on the carpet and get down on her level. And I started to notice the way that she stims. She would rub her hands together or she would flap her arms, and she was just completely silent, and a song would be playing because the teacher in that classroom played transition songs. So the song would be playing, and I would directly repeat the words of the songs or what the teacher was teaching. If she was doing You Fly, I would directly repeat the letters and the sounds to the student and make eye contact with her and slowly move my mouth to try to show her how to produce the sounds. And then I noticed she would reach out to me. She liked it if I touched her hand. She liked having that like security and closeness. So we would hold hands and she would flap. Um, and then as I started to say those words to her, she started to mimic me and say them back to me. And at first she was just moving her mouth. But I was like, okay, now she's moving her mouth. And then the sound followed and she started to make the sounds. And then before I knew it, she was singing along to the songs on the carpet and she was participating in You Fly and she was smiling instead of melting down. And she was asking to hold my hand. And she was just, I mean, it was night and day, and it didn't happen overnight. I mean, it took months and months, but that I had to build a relationship with her where she felt safe to be able to express herself. And by having that physical touch of holding my hand and feeling free to stim, because I would stim along with her, um, she felt safe to try. And she felt like when we were doing those things, she felt like it was just me and her. She kind of tuned everybody else out in those moments and didn't worry about what other people thought. She felt safe with me to try. And that's all I asked of her, is to just try. She didn't have to do anything perfectly. She didn't have to do everything all at once. Progress isn't overnight. She just had to try. And I think that's how she felt safe. And every time I saw her, like at the end of the year, she would hug me, run up and hug me. Like she just blossomed.
That's awesome. You mentioned that building that relationship was, you noticed a turning point there. How does that look every, like day to day, building that relationship?
It's different with every student. I work with mostly neurodivergent kids, and being neurodivergent myself, I'm usually able to kind of get on their level and understand the way that they think. Um, Building those relationships is a little bit easier for me because I can kind of tell where they're at as far as that goes. If they're stimming, if they need something, if they're overstimulated, I can kind of see it before it happens. And so I know, like, I'm not going to physically get in the space of a student if I can tell that there's somebody that needs, physical space. Or if a kid is overstimulated easily, I'm not going to do something that's going to trigger that. Um, but I noticed like a lot of my kids are more hands-on learners. So I'll bring something with me and we can do something hands-on together. Like I had one kid, we literally laid on the carpet and just he would build using manipulatives. And we turned it into a social skills lesson by just having a conversation because he struggled. He had social skills on his IEP because he struggled to make friends with his peers. So we turned it into a social skills lesson. So he just built things because he liked to build things. And we had a conversation and he learned how to take turns in conversation. And then I had another student where he he did a lot of echolalia. So he would read. He was a very strong reader. And so we would read together. I would read a page, he would read a page, and we kind of bonded over books. So it's different for every kid of how you build a relationship, but I find a lot that it's really just showing up. Because I had one class where they had multiple teachers over the year because the teachers had left or they had subs or they had been on maternity leave and things like that. But I was there the whole year. And as long as you show up and you're there and you become a constant for them, they notice. If I miss a day because I'm on an IEP meeting, they notice. And when I come back, they're all rushing to hug me. So it's they notice when you're that constant for them. And that's how you really build that relationship, is being there and showing up every single day, being ready for them and being open with them and being like, hey, I'm here for you. I'm ready. Let's do this. Let's learn. Let's have fun while we learn. Like, when I'm there, it's time. Like, let's do this.
I love that. You also earlier mentioned creating a space where your students feel safe and it's okay to make mistakes.
Mhm.
What does that look like in practice? How do they feel that safety with you?
I am huge on admitting my own mistakes because I'm still a newer teacher, you know. I make mistakes. Sometimes I was doing 5th grade math and I would miss a number on some long division, and it happens. So I always own up to my own mistakes. If a kid makes a mistake, it's never I never engage in any kind of punitive like stuff. It's always okay, we see what we did. Let's see where we went wrong and how we can fix it. And then we'll go and we'll do it a different way. And maybe, especially with neurodivergent brains, they think differently. And maybe the way that the teacher is teaching it doesn't quite stick. So if I can teach it in a different modality, maybe that works better for their brain, but they're going to get the same answer. So teaching them in a different way where they feel like, oh, I get this in this way. I am safe to try a different way. I am safe to think the way that my brain thinks. I'm not expected to learn something that seems so foreign to me. I can learn like this in a way that's comfortable for me. And I can feel safe to work in a smaller group where I'm not being judged by everybody, you know what I mean? Like or one-on-one where I'm just where they're just with me and it's just us, and I'm like, you don't have everybody staring at you when you're raising your hand and you have the wrong answer, and then and now I'm embarrassed. So I think they really feel that, that one-on-one or that small group, they feel like they can take chances and they can make mistakes and it's okay. I'm never going to be upset with them if they make a mistake. Like, that's how you learn. You're not going to learn without making a mistake. Every single person, every single teacher makes a mistake. So, of course, a kid who's learning, as young or as old as they are, from K through 12, they're making mistakes. So just give them the freedom to make mistakes. Point them out, but don't be punitive about it. Just be like, hey, this is where we went wrong. Let's try it this way. And then they get the right answer, and then you celebrate.
Great. And watching a child go from nonverbal to speaking clearly in less than a year is really extraordinary. What change did you see in her confidence and in her engagement with her peers and in the classroom? And also, just to follow up on that, when you're done, how did you change as an educator? Like, how does that change you as an educator and how you educated her?
I mean, she went, when she went from nonverbal to verbal, it changed so much. Because the way they had the desks, they had tables. So they had tables of 4 kids to a table in the classroom. That's the way they were set up. She was talking to the other people at the table. She was asking if she could borrow a crayon. Like, she's having conversations with her peers. Um, at the end of the year, she won the award for most improved. And I was like, I clapped so loud for her. I was like, oh my goodness, she did it. She every day at the end of the day for bus duty, because I would stand out in the breezeway, she'd run up and hug me. Like, she was just so much more open. And in the beginning of the year, she just looked so sad because she couldn't express herself and she didn't know how. And at the end of the year, she was just so happy and she was so kind and sweet and just the most wonderful little girl. Like, she was just so sweet. And when she won that award, like, I felt a sense of pride as an educator, knowing, like, obviously her classroom teacher had a lot to do with it too, because we worked together to work on her. But I felt a sense of pride in myself because I knew that I had a little bit to do with how many gains that she made. Um, and I really felt like, some days it's hard, you go in and uh, some days things don't go right and you have a hard day and it's rough, but then you have days where you see a clear impact that you make on a student or multiple students. And that's why you wake up and keep going. Like, it's all about the kids for me. Like, the kids are why I started, the kids are why I stay. I'm all in for my students. Like, that is everything to me. And seeing them make progress is the feedback that I need to know that, that I can keep going and know that I'm making a difference for these kids. And that is everything I need to know about, what I'm doing. Because when it comes down to it, it's all about making sure that the kids are making their gains and they're doing better and they're more comfortable. And, all these kids I have, they all have unique disabilities, even, if they have autism as a spectrum. So they have all different needs. So, seeing that as an educator, seeing a nonverbal autistic child, which is, on the more severe side, grow so much, that made a huge impact on me as a teacher. Like, that really, I shed a tear when she won that award. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I mean, I can tell clearly how passionate you are about being a teacher and your students, and I just want to like thank you for that because you're doing amazing things in your school and with your students. And what do you think wish more people understood about ESE students, their potential and their power, and the power of you building a relationship with them?
I just wish more people understood how many different facets there are of students with disabilities and how many gains they can make. Like, obviously, with the girl who was nonverbal, like, a lot of people will see a nonverbal autistic child and just think, oh, they're nonverbal. That's just how it is. And it doesn't have to be, and some could stay nonverbal. That's true. But some can learn language and do that. And a lot of kids like have ADHD, and there's multiple types of ADHD, and girls present differently than boys do. And you might look at a kid and not know that they have a disability, and they may struggle with something that another kid's is simple for. um so you have to know how to support those kids and how to predict where they're going to struggle before they hit the frustration point. Because if they get to the point where they get frustrated, they're going to shut down and they're not going to want to do the task or learn the concept. So it's just a matter of supporting their unique needs while also addressing the general classroom, which can be a tricky balance. But once you figure out how the different kids with IPs in your class learn and work, it's easier to kind of blend them into the general education classroom, and kind of scaffold that learning. And you can mix in different modalities, more hands-on learning, more things like that, to better support your students who have IEPs or learning disabilities or autism or anything like that. But just to make a more inclusive space. Like, I love that all of the classrooms in my school have calm corners. Like, and a kid doesn't even have to ask. They just go to the calm corner and they can just have a minute and just, sometimes I'll sit with them in the calm corner and talk through with them and be like, what led to this? So it's just understanding kids with disabilities, not writing them off as, like they won't make progress, because I've seen them make progress, and it's not just the progress on the standardized tests that matter, it's progress every day that you see that matters too.
Yeah. And this isn't in our script, but you're talking about that, and we just had an event yesterday, or 2 days, was it 2 days ago? I'm still
2
on
days ago.
thinking that it was yesterday, so I'm still on a high from it. But
Me too.
I know you were in attendance, and everything you're saying is resonating. We just saw Madison Marilla's professional development, and she spoke about students on the spectrum, and she herself was a student on the spectrum. And I think a lot of people don't realize what they are capable of doing. She graduated college. She's giving back, working. She was working in schools with students, and now she's an advocate and speaks out and shares her story. And when I was listening to her, I was just so amazed that she joined everything and she was a part of everything. And her school really seemed to make her feel that she was welcome in everything. So, and I think even she's a lot older, she's older now. So back in the day, I'm surprised at how welcoming they were to allowing her to do everything. But giving them a chance is all that they're asking, is to just have a chance to do everything that everybody else is doing.
Mhm.
Yeah, did you want to share just a little bit of anything you learned from her?
Yeah,
Or
I related a lot to her. We're the same age. We both have level 2 autism. And we both, got through college. It was amazing to see, like we resonated a lot. And when I met her afterward, we had a pretty lengthy conversation. And I was on cloud nine. Like, I was freaking out because I love her. Um, and she gave me one of her bracelets and we talked, and I saw her up there and I was like, like, we are so often underestimated, but like we can do so many things. And like, she was showing those statistics in the beginning in her video before she went, talking about how many kids, are late diagnosed, and how a lot of kids also have ADHD, which I also do have ADHD as well. And just seeing how much she's accomplished just inspired me and made me feel like like I am a part of those statistics too. And I read a statistic the other day that I think only 5% of autistic adults have a master's degree. And I was like, wow, like that's crazy. So she's so inspiring and she's so nice and her mom is so nice. And I'm still coming down from that. Like I have my bracelet on. I'm like, I'm still so excited. She was so amazing.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I'm just still also on a high from it, and I know that you were there, so I just wanted to get your reaction and share.
Yeah, she was so great. Oh my gosh. I didn't think I just thought I was going to be watching a speaking event. I didn't think I was going to be able to like talk to her and take a picture with her. Like I have a picture of me with her and I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh, well, I'm so glad that we could bring her to you and that
Yes, thank
we
you. The stuff you guys do is amazing. I want to thank you and all the stuff you do because you made so many opportunities happen for us and that's so cool.
Good. Well, thank you I mean, we do it because of the love and passion you put into your students, and it's clear. I can totally see it. Before we wrap up, I always ask all my listeners one final question just for fun. What was your favorite cartoon when you were growing up?
SpongeBob.
Oh, that was my daughter's too.
I still to this day will just randomly quote SpongeBob, and so does my husband. We'll just do it back and forth. And it's like,
Oh, I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much for being a guest today. And
thank
I learned so
you.
much from you. You're a great guest to have on. I appreciate it. And thank you for listening. Keep amplifying the good. Until next time, I'm Tanya Ramirez. Goodbye.
Bye.